This is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles from Safe Harbor Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Cory provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Financially Fit Radio with Cory Sickles.
Well, Happy New Year. Happy 2025. And welcome back to another episode of Financially Fit Radio. Again, I'm Cory Sickles with Safe Harbor Retirement Group and Wealth Advisors. If you have any questions about today's show, feel free to give us a call at 614-760-0670, or you can always visit us online at safeharboroh.com. And while you're visiting our website, feel free to click on that radio page. You can check out some past shows, as well as subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or Spotify. Also, feel free to check out today's show on our YouTube channel. Just type in Safe Harbor Retirement Group, and you can watch today's Financially Fit Radio show on YouTube, as well as subscribe and be kept up to date with our video shorts. We're putting about anywhere from 3 to 5 of those out a week on different types of financial topics. Well, since it is 2025, we're going to kind of start. We want to talk today about how you can basically start strong and stay strong and be financially fit for 2025. But before we dive into that, I'm going to introduce to you my co-host this week and every week, and that's Tony Shore. Tony, how are you, and Happy New Year?
Well, Happy New Year to you. I cannot believe it's already 2025. Last year flew by. I can't believe we did 52 shows last year.
Yep.
And we're going to do some new shows, new topics this year. This is going to be a good one. But I'm looking forward to the strategies for next year, setting some goals, talking about strategies to stay strong throughout the year.
Sure.
And not have as big of ups and downs, right?
Right.
Just stay strong and stay up the whole time. But I've just, the new year has already begun. We're going to kick it off here, and I hope everybody has a good 2025. We will see what the year will bring. Cory, how have you been? Your holidays, I assume, went well, and you're probably happy to be in the new year, aren't you?
I am. Fourth quarter is always busy. First part of the first quarter is usually kind of busy with us because you got everyone that's retiring right around this time frame or getting ready to retire here. And, it seems like March and April is a pretty, if it's not January, it's kind of like that March, April time frame that people do want to retire as well. So, it's busy. It's hard to believe again that, we're out of 2024. Now we're heading into 2025. And, the odd part sometimes, Tony, is this, the days seem to go slow, but I'll tell you what, the months and the years go by quick as we age.
It is crazy. And it's crazy sometimes how an hour or a day will go by really slowly, like you say. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad it's not just me, because sometimes an hour can last forever depending on what you're doing. And especially a whole day, it's like, wow, what a long day. How many times do we say, wow, that was a really long day?
Yeah.
But as you and I talk, it's just like you stop and go, wait, it's already January? What happened to last year?
I know. Yeah. It's the truth.
Yeah.
And, and thinking about it, it doesn't seem that long ago, like I was like 30, right?
Right. And now
here
you're
I am,
31.
Yeah, now I'm 31 with about 24 more years on that, right? So, and all of a sudden you're sitting there going, I mean, where's the time gone? And here's the most important part about it, I think, more than anything, as you plan for retirement, that deadline comes quicker than I think a lot of people envision. So, the earlier that you can start and stay consistent, the better off that you're going to be long term. And I think it's always good. It seems like every year everyone starts off the year with, hey, I'm going to change. I'm going to do this. And hopefully, some of the things we're going to talk about today, people are going to kind of put that on their list for 2025, to be able to say that these are some of the goals that I want to be able to accomplish here.
Yeah. Yeah. And people have lots of goals. I mean, we always hear, my two were, my two, diet and exercise. That's my secret, Cory. But I have lost a little bit of weight this year, and I hope to keep it going into
Yep.
the new year. The holidays always ruin me and derail me a little bit. But I am getting back on track, and I love that. And we can all make those types of New Year's resolutions. But when it comes to our finances, it shouldn't just be a once a year thing. Okay, at year end, we look at year end tax planning. Beginning of the year, we look at setting some financial goals, and then we kind of let it go, right?
Sure.
And we don't maintain. But like you say, we want to start strong, but we want to stay strong, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, that should be the goal for 2025.
Yeah.
Is make it a habit.
Yep.
I mean, that's the easiest thing to try to do.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some of the things. Just review it a little bit more often, and before you know it, you're going to do it monthly or at least quarterly, and you're just going to be able to make sure that you stay on track to make sure that you have the retirement that you want to.
Yeah.
And just like anything else, I mean, one thing I think everyone probably should do is just kind of let's go back and look at 2024. Let's do a little bit of a reflection, right? Review your budget. Find out, where all your money went. Did you overspend in some areas? Are there ways that I can cut back? You might have done, exceptionally well in certain areas, but maybe, one of the areas that you spend a little bit too much in, you can kind of focus on, for 2025. It's always a great time to go in and, look at your investments. That's always something that you want to be able to do. We've had a good 2 years. And when the market does well, your stock portfolio grows. And what you do have in safe investments or safer investments tend to lag, which means you've naturally have gotten a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
Just because your stock portfolio has gone up. So it's a good time to go in, check it out, see where you are. And if you need to reallocate, again, we're here to help you as well. But it's a good time to go in and just to make sure that you're invested the way, really the way that you want to. And hopefully, this is always something good too, is maybe write down a list or, discuss with your spouse what you guys did accomplish in 2024. Maybe you got rid of some debt, or you're paying that down, or maybe you've went in and you built some savings, right? Or maybe you hit some certain thresholds. Maybe all of a sudden now you have $100,000 you saved, or $500,000, or $1 million. Maybe you've reached some goals that's going to, kind of accelerate you to keep on doing what you've been doing. I think it's always good to kind of reflect and say, hey, you know what? We set this goal to reach, and we've done it. Pat yourself on the back, go have a drink. Maybe, don't spend too much money on dinner, but
Right.
but it's always good to reward yourself, for things that you have done well at.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that idea of rewarding yourself at the things for doing it right, and having a financial strategy and a spending plan and sticking to it. But you do need to look back, and the more often you can get into that habit of looking at what you're actually spending and figure it out, figure out where you went wrong the last 6 months of the year, or where you went right, and then adjust accordingly.
That's exactly right. And then now, once you kind of reflect on 2024, now you can kind of start setting goals for 2025, right? You might have some short-term goals like saving for vacation. We all want to be able to go on vacation, and it's a lot easier if you save for it rather than try to, just do it, just fling it, when the time comes.
Or put it on. You don't want to just put it on your credit card and think,
exactly
I'll pay
right.
this off later. You'll be in trouble.
Save for it. A more popular. I mean, I'm a homeowner. I know you're a homeowner, Tony.
Yeah.
When you're a homeowner, there's always things that can be improved. Right?
Yeah.
You always have a list of what you're going to be able to go in and fix. So if you do want to do some home improvements, budget for it, save for it. Maybe you want to, popular ones are always bathrooms and kitchens, right? That stuff ain't cheap. And you want to be able to make sure that you're not putting it on a credit card, that you are going to be able to save for it as well. And, speaking of credit cards, pay those things off every month. Don't build additional debt. If you are in debt, let's get out of debt, credit card debt. And because that stuff will kill you. Interest rates are high. So then we kind of get into you need to set some long-term goals too. Depending on where you are in your situation, how much money do I want to try to save for retirement? Are you trying to buy a house? Do you have to start saving money for your kids' financial education, or maybe even your own education? So, there's got to be everyone's situation is going to be different. Your different stages of your life. But at the end of the day, you have some type of savings, long-term savings goals that you want to accomplish. And again, all of a sudden, you just don't want to be in a situation where all of a sudden you have to come up with $40,000 in order to pay for education for your kids. You want to save for it.
Yeah, you have to save for those things. Like if you're going to buy a different home or a bigger home, or even downsize, but to a nicer house or area, you're going to have to save for those things. And, home improvements, save for them, big trips. Make sure you have the money in the bank or the money somewhere liquid that isn't going to affect your, retirement income that you can draw from for that. Right.
That's exactly right. And, there's going to be other account expenses that might be popping up too. You might be saving for a new roof, or, who knows what it might end up being. Home improvements. Sure. You might be trying to buy a new car. Maybe one of your kids is going to be getting married, or maybe you might even be changing a job. Maybe you're making more money or a little bit less money. So those are kind of things that's going to help you really focus on what you need to do, fine tune your budget for 2025. And just like anything else, when it comes to saving, Tony, the one thing that you really need to be able to do is automate it. Right?
Yeah.
What I mean by automated is, if you're going to build an emergency fund and you want to put $100 a paycheck in there, just have it come right out of your bank account, right? If you're going to invest in your 401k, that'll come right out of your paycheck. So the easier that you can automate your savings to have go in these different buckets. And I have some people, Tony, that have 3 or 4 savings accounts that they put money in. One's for vacation, one's for home improvements, one's to build that emergency fund. And if it's easier for you to handle all that by having multiple savings accounts, then you function better that way, then do that.
Yep.
The main thing is that you're saving for the right things and you're using cash as these things pop up.
Sure. Yeah. Have an emergency fund, have savings, and use that money. Don't run up high credit card debt. All great advice, and maintain that throughout the year. It's not just for during the holidays or at the beginning of the year. You're right. Fine tune that budget, set clear financial goals, automate the savings, and increase your contributions to your retirement accounts regularly as well.
Exactly right. You want to make sure you take advantage, not only saving, Tony, but you also want to make sure that you're looking at it from a max contribution standpoint, from a savings standpoint, right? Put money into that IRA or 401k or your Roth. Or, maybe you can put money into a health spending account, an HSA. That's always a good investment, long-term as well. We're all going to spend money on healthcare at some point in time in our life.
Right.
But the other part of it is you want to make sure you're also saving strategically for an emergency fund. Yeah. You want to make sure you have 3 to 6 months of whatever your actual expenses are in an emergency fund in case you do lose a job or in case something happens where you have to dip into that, because you don't want to, again, use that credit card, create debt, and then you have to try to get out of debt at some point in time. Yeah. It's expensive. If you are in debt, I'd say work with an advisor to strategically figure out on how you can get out of debt. It can be tough. Believe me, I know it. I know as you kind of get older, it's tough, right? Yeah. You're working, you're trying to save, you're spending money on kids. If you have kids, you're trying to save for the future for education. You're also trying to save for the future for retirement. But the point is you have to do all those things at once. And the most important part of that is you want to also make sure that you're also putting money away for retirement. Compound interest is amazing. And the earlier that you can start and the more consistent you can start by saving for retirement, you're just going to be in such a better situation when you get in those 50s.
Yeah, like you said, especially if you're consistently contributing through your employer plan and through your financial advisor like yourself, putting money regularly into an IRA or other retirement vehicles, the more you're regularly contributing, the better. That way you're dollar cost averaging your way into the market, which is going to exponentially affect the compounding interest that you get. And that's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. I mean, it's amazing on what, the amount of money that you can save, for 30 years compared to 10 years and what that actually accumulates to, even if you're saving the same amount of money per month for those 10 or 30 years. It's just kind of amazing what that could actually do. But, it's so important though, that emergency fund's also very important. We always talk about tax efficiency or we talk about taxes. And the one thing I would probably say, everyone's situation is a little bit different. Depends on the amount of income you're making and maybe projecting what it's going to look like for you when you retire. But you also want to make sure that you're putting it in the right buckets. Don't put everything just always in a 401k. You want to make sure that you're going to have some Roth money. Last week we talked about life insurance. So you want to be able to have something that's going to give you some tax-free money when that day does come too, when you do want to retire. Taxes are probably going to go up. I know everyone always says, I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket when I retire.
Yeah.
Most people aren't. They're in the same tax bracket they were. So, the question is the 12% going to be a 12% in 15 years? Or is what just depends on what tax rate we're actually going to be in. They're not going to go down. If anything, they're going to go up. And the one thing that I would also think about, Tony, is this. I think one of the things that everyone should try to do for 2025, and that is try to become a little bit more educated and then stay engaged with that, right? There's so many ways that you can become more literate about finances, right?
Yeah.
It's no longer where you just have to read a book. There's podcasts out there. You can listen to this. There's other podcasts out there that you can actually go into. There's YouTube videos. There's just so much more. There's so much more information out there that you can listen to while you're doing other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I'm not a big. I'll admit I like to be on the radio when I'm in the car.
Yeah.
My wife she loves podcasts.
Yeah.
She really gets into all the podcasts and all that type stuff.
Yep.
But the main part of it is try to stay engaged, try to become educated, because it's going to make it a lot easier for you. Not only financial, you might want to have other podcasts about other topics.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. But the other part I would probably say with that is when we start talking about becoming educated and things like that, make sure that you're seeking advice with an advisor. One of the things that we try to do more than anything else at Safe Harbor is educate our clients on different financial topics, right? We want you, if we're going to recommend a product or we're going to recommend a portfolio to put money into, we want you to understand why we're doing it. What's the benefit to you for doing this? So I think that's very important to make sure that you're educated enough so you can ask some of the right questions when you're actually meeting with your advisor about why they're doing this, what's the benefit to me, and I think it's just so important to be able to be educated on that.
Yeah. Educating yourself about finances is important, but watch where you get the advice too, right? I know you've told us many times on the show, don't take advice from a neighbor or a friend or, a family member. Work with a financial professional as well. There's no replacing. You can read books and listen to podcasts like this one. But at the end, to sum it all up, you're going to want to meet face to face with a financial professional to look over your personal situation, because like the advice you give out on the show is good, but then it has to lead to okay, what's your personal situation with your personal goals, and then get into the nitty gritty, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, everyone's situation is different, right? And every solution is going to be different for a client.
Sure.
I mean, you have different needs. You're in different parts of your life. So you just can't sit there and say, hey, I'm going to, nothing's cookie cutter, right? You
Right.
just can't sit there and say, this is what I'm going to do for anyone that's 55 plus. This is what I'm going to do. That's just not the way that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. You just can't, if you want to know when to take Social Security, don't talk to your dad, don't talk to your mother, or don't talk to your aunt or uncle,
Or
or
your
don't talk
neighbor.
to or your neighbor who just turned 62 and is going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
My neighbor worked until he was 73, and he filed for Social Security when he was 62.
Yeah.
So it's
Right. I mean, and there's a lot of rules that go with all that, right?
yeah.
I know, believe me, I know everyone wants to be able to get back what they put into it and all that type stuff. But again, we call Social Security the foundation of your income plan.
Yeah.
It's kind of where we want to lay the blueprint down for it. But everyone's situation is different on when you should actually trigger it.
Yeah.
So unless they know your true details and know your situation, I mean, someone really can't provide any type of advice.
No.
So,
No.
so yes, so become educated, and the best way to be able to do that is get engaged with a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And we're here to help help you more than anything else.
Yeah, and listen to Financially Fit Radio.
That's exactly right, Tony. Listen to
Right.
Financially Fit Radio.
There
Right.
you go. Boom.
Yep. So a couple other things. We already talked about reinvest, great time to go back and look at your investments. For any of our listeners or viewers out there, go to our website at safeharboroh.com. We have a risk assessment that you can actually take. We can tell you what that means. And at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that based upon your risk level, that's the way that you're actually allocated, because that means you can handle the risk that you possibly, you can handle the risk if the market goes the other way.
Right.
Everyone's happy right now because the market's been going up.
Yeah.
There's going to be some corrections, and people just need to make sure that they're allocated the correct way. As we kind of sum this up today, hey, 2024 is gone. 2025 is, we want, just like we said, we want you to we want you to start strong and then stay strong, right? So one of the things that I would probably try to say more than anything else is let's build some consistency. Let's stay consistent. Let's start doing this stuff, on an ongoing basis. Once you're consistent with it, it creates a habit. Once you create a habit, you're in a lot better situation, right? And what do? 2026 will be right around the corner. You adjust, create a new plan, and kind of go forward in 2026. So let's try to stay consistent. Let's try to stay strong, or start strong and stay strong, for 2025. Again, we're here to help you. You can always give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit us online at safeharboroh.com. Just remember, all meetings are complimentary. There's no financial obligation. We have 2 locations here in the Columbus area, one in Dublin, one at Easton. And again, if you want to set up a Zoom meeting or even a phone call, we can arrange that as well. All meetings are complimentary and there's no financial obligation.
Yeah, and not only work with a financial services professional like yourself, not only pick up the phone and give Cory and his team there at Safe Harbor a call, but have regular check-ins too with your financial advisor and make sure that you keep that momentum going throughout the year. And Cory, again, great message for the show this year. Listeners, pick up the phone, give Cory a call. Cory, I know you and your staff love to hear from our listeners out there. That number is 614-760-0670. And again, that's safeharboroh.com. Here's looking at the new year, Cory. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, so am I. 2025's here. So, let's go.
All right, sounds good. Listeners, that does it for today's episode of Financially Fit Radio with our host, Cory Sickles.
Thank you for listening to Financially Fit Radio. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, contact Cory Sickles at Safe Harbor Retirement Group. Call 614-760-0670 or visit their website at financiallyfitoh.com.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.